Hey there, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and here I am in the car, headed down to Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland for another new comic book day. Well, there's a lot of great books coming out this week, but there's only a few on my pull list that I want to pick up. I did a really good job of pre-ordering most of these books that come out this week, so I've only got a handful that I'm going to be picking up today. But I will go down like normal. I'll film everything, show off all the new books that are coming out, and then I'll come home and whatever I pick up, I'm going to bag and board and we'll do a show and tell. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. All right, everybody, I just finished up here at Third Eye Comics, and as always, I had a great time, especially talking with some of the other collectors that come in. It's always fun to talk comics and talk art and everything and get to know the comic book community here in the Baltimore, D.C. area. Great time. Picked up a lot of great books. I hope you enjoyed some of the footage that I shot of all the new books that came out this week. I picked up a few things. I'm going to go home now. I'm going to bag and board everything, and then we'll do that show and tell. So stay tuned.
Much later.
All right, guys, I made it back home, and I bagged and boarded all the new comics I picked up. I did a really good job pre-ordering the comics that came out this week, so I didn't have to pick up a lot, but I definitely picked up a few things, a couple that I wasn't really aware of, and a couple of really nice variants. So let's get right into this. So first up this week was Absolute Green Lantern, the new Absolute title coming out this week, and artwork looks really good on this. I haven't had a chance to read this, of course, but this right here looked pretty good. I definitely wanted to pick up a second copy of the regular cover A, and that's what I did because I'd already pre-ordered this book, but I wanted to get a second copy of that just to have on hand. You never know when some of these things are going to hit. I wouldn't mind having multiples of a #1 issue like this. I did want to get the Ribic variant, and they did not have it on hand. It was on part of a back order, so I think they're going to hold that Ribic variant for me, and if I can remember, I will put up a picture of that Ribic variant right there so you guys can see that. He's going to be at either Heroes or Baltimore later this year for one of the cons, and I don't know which one, and I really like that cover, so I may want to save that, get signed. That's why I asked Third Eye to try to find it for me. Next up was the 6th issue of Absolute Superman. I think we got some origin story going on in this one. I've been enjoying this title, especially since Jason Aaron had come to Third Eye to do a signing. So I definitely, whenever we get a writer, especially a writer, coming into Third Eye to do a signing, I usually give those books that they're writing a second chance. I have not been the biggest Jason Aaron fan on a lot of things, but there are certain things I really do like, and I have enjoyed this Absolute Superman run. It's so different, just like the Absolute Wonder Woman and Batman. They're all very different from what we're traditionally being used to. So, coming up next is another book. I honestly wasn't going to do this, but because Charles Soule had also just been in for a signing at Third Eye Comics, and I'd already been a fan of Charles Soule anyway, but his new book, and to be honest, I didn't even know he wrote this until I got to the store today, and I'm going, oh, I didn't know he wrote this, and I definitely wanted to get it now. We've got the Daredevil. I believe it's a 3-issue little mini-series. It's called Cold Day in Hell. It's in a very old Matt Murdock at this point. We'll see what the story's like. The artwork, Steve McNiven artwork on the inside looks pretty cool. So I gave this a shot, just honestly because of Charles Soule. But I also picked up the Frank Miller variant right there. Had to pick that up. I mean, Frank Miller on Daredevil, can't go wrong. Oh, yes, you can go wrong. You know, some of these new covers he's been doing are very wrong. But this one doesn't offend like a lot of those covers that have been coming out over the last year. There's some of those Wolverine Logan covers. Ooh, just scary stuff. I did pick this up only because there's some hype right now because of Marvel basically revealing who this new Venom is. And I'm not going to reveal it here just in case you haven't heard the news. But Marvel had already spoiled this before it had even come out, and let's see if I can turn that. There you go. They'd already spoiled who the new Venom is, and when I found out, well, and that's the only reason I bought this book, when I found out, I kind of rolled my eyes. It's like, of course it's this character. Really? So I did pick up just a regular cover A on that. I don't know if this will be worth anything, but I got it more for the novelty than anything. Talking about novelty, Marvel has just been expanding on Rivals. And this is actually a Marvel Rivals title, number 1. I believe that is the cover A right there. I went ahead and picked up the 2 other variants I have. And excuse me, but I don't know the artist on these. This is actually the only one I was going to get because I did have the regular number 1 pre-ordered. But I went ahead and got, this is the one I was going to get anyway with Galactica on there. And it is what it is. I think Marvel's trying to cash in on this as much as they can. I think it's too late. I think we've jumped the shark a little bit, but it's hard not to go ahead and pick these titles up at this point. So I got those. And then talk about something that's really hot right now is Mark Spears. And he had, I think, a 4th printing of issue number 1 that for his Monsters title that had come out. I passed on that. And it was interesting. We did have an interesting discussion between several collectors there today at Third Eye about Mark Spears. And I'm not on board with everything he does. And it's only because there's just the sheer volume of work covers, especially that has been coming out. And honestly, I kind of lost track, and I'm not going to have to get into every Mark Spears cover. I think he's got there's one, I don't know which title it is, but he's got from DC Comics, he's got Atom, and I wasn't sure who it was until I took a look, and it definitely was another Mark Spears cover. But I did pick this one up. It is the Vampirella issue number 1 right here. Actually, Legacy 676. And I did this strictly for this cover. It's a kick-ass cover. And I'm looking at the name up here, Priest. I wonder if that's Christopher Priest who's writing this. As somebody I've met before. He was a pretty cool guy. But I picked up a couple copies of that. And I'm looking down at the pile here and I'm going, wow, that's it. That's every new comic book I picked up this week. There were a lot of other good things that came out. And honestly, I had pre-ordered really well when I did my pre-order list 2 to 3 months ago with Eminent Comics. And I didn't have to pick up a lot this week. Have to. I was forced, by the way. I was forced to have to pick up these books. But nonetheless, this was a pretty small order or a small purchase when I went to Third Eye this week. But I did pick up a couple other things on their recent new issue backstand. And I did pick up a couple more copies of the second printing to Doom #1, the Sanford Green comic book that came out and hit like a nuclear bomb last year. Sanford Green was just in a Third Eye here a couple months ago. And he's coming back here in the next few weeks as of this signing to do technically a launch for his next Bitterroot book that just came out just a week ago. And he'll be in before the issue #2 comes out. So I definitely got some of those copies to get signed, but I continue stockpiling some of these second prints. I picked up 2 more here. The second prints to basically stockpile on Sanford Green, because I think this was a great book. And we'll see about getting all of those signed. And that was everything I picked up from Third Eye today. But I want to thank Otto, my buddy there. I see him there every week. And he ran to a different Third Eye last week when this was supposed to be on the stands, but it was not there in Annapolis. It is Lucky Devils. I believe it's the third printing of issue #1. And it is this massively good Jenny Frison cover. This is so awesome. And they did not have it in Annapolis, but he ran to one of the other Third Eye locations and was able to pick me up a copy. So thank you, Otto. I appreciate that. And that is it, everybody. Let's see if I can get rid of that glare. Yeah, there we go. So guys, that is it. That's everything I picked up this week. Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you picked up this week. What were your favorite books for this particular new comic book day? And if you enjoy this kind of content, definitely give me a like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to sit down and read some of these books, and I will see you for the next show. Until then, remember, every comic has a story.